In mid-March, we sat down to figure out what our response would be. Every community foundation and donor advised fund and foundation and philanthropist, everybody was having the same reflections. And as we spoke to our peers in the donor advised fund community, we were struck by how every community foundation immediately stood up a response fund, a charitable response fund dedicated to COVID and typically geographically focused for the communities that they serve. And it made us reflect on what our response would be. Our reach is really broad, it's very international, and we do much more than philanthropy. And we don't typically work with food banks and all of the things that others did, and we certainly didn't want to be duplicative. So we spoke with our clients. We met with our clients to understand what they wanted from us and if we had a role to play. And we're really inspired by their words and what we heard from them. They're engaging in new ways on this crisis in ways that they haven't before. Clients who had very rigid and stringent strategies about how they would deploy capital have parked them aside in lieu of a new way to address COVID. So our fund is similar to a charitable fund, but it really brings to bear everything that ImpactAssets has built. It plays on our role as a connector and as a catalyst. And one of our key design principles was leveraging what we have and trying not to build too much new. This really should be something we can very authentically offer and something that fills gaps in the landscape. So we ended up focusing on three important beneficiary groups. We focused on the frontline heroes, the folks that are working on treatments and cures and testing and manufacturing PPE, as well as our essential workers. And we've developed a fund called Stop the Spread Fund to address those beneficiaries. The second group is mission critical change makers. So as we look at the economic impact of what we're facing, we were concerned about the small businesses and startups that are working on climate change, that are working on social equity, that might not survive this downturn and whose absence would be sorely missed, whose absence would mean regression on these very important challenges. And we developed a fund called Preserve the Progress to ensure the survival of those key change makers. And the third category is underserved businesses and individuals. This is a category that impact investors have long since focused on. We have 10 years of history and a very deep bench of partners that we work with. We have hundreds of millions of dollars already deployed in this category. And we have much, much more capacity available today to move more money to these much needed places. And we've developed a fund called the Business and Community Resilience Fund. And supporting all of these funds is a COVID response fund for folks who think all of these are great ideas and we want to make it easy for them to just invest in all of them. The COVID response fund invests in all three of these funds.